Hello to all of my Substack readers and subscribers, paid and unpaid. This is Donald Earl Collins. Hey, just as a reminder, as I continue to do this work, as I continue to talk about issues around blackness and racism and anti-racism and other isms and other issues, both regarding fool's gold and regarding confessions from an educated fool. Um, you know, throw me some change here or there, so that I can keep this thing going, so I can keep it viable. Afford more stuff, maybe even afford to have some guests on to talk to about these issues, do more video, maybe more adventurous video, that kind of stuff. So anyway, just making my little appeal to you all. I just wanted to comment real quick to add to what I talk about today regarding the non-viability of anti-racism centers and being a good manager and things of that nature. I have to commend Uju Anya at Carnegie Mellon for talking about this, about managing how difficult it is to become a manager. But to be truthful, as someone who has worked in the nonprofit world, who has been a consultant, who has actually managed budgets and had to manage people, manage projects, and raise money, and coordinate with other organizations around projects and grantees, and disseminating materials, and probably 35 other things that I did in my capacity as a nonprofit administrator, as a senior program officer at the Academy for Educational Development before it became FHI 360 in 2011. Working for Carnegie Library Pittsburgh as a low-level administrator, working as assistant director for the New Voices Fellowship Program for 3+ years, for among other things that I've done, work consulting for ETS and for American Institutes for Research and all these other places, right? There's a lot of work that's involved in this. And the bottom line is that all of us at some point who ended up doing this work, whether in the nonprofit world or with universities or with a government agency, at some point in time didn't have any of these experiences, didn't know how to manage people. But managing people, managing projects, raising money, the tedium of writing reports, and all of those other things require basically the ability to multitask, the ability to say, hey, I don't know certain things. Let me hand this off to someone who actually has expertise in this. Let me hire someone who's an expert in X, Y, and Z. Let me hire someone who's going to give me pushback on my vision so that my vision is manageable and reasonable. We can take reasonable steps to make sure that it happens. That, in fact, it's not make it not just my vision, but the vision of a whole group of people who are working towards similar, not the exact same thing. You want it to be on the same page. It doesn't have to be the same paragraph. It doesn't have to be the exact same words. But being on the same page at least means you're working toward the same thing, right? And I sense none of that in the case of CAR, the Center for Anti-Racism Research at Boston University. And I certainly didn't sense that during the years of the Anti-Racism Research and Policy Center at AU, at American University. So, I mean, to me, I get what she's saying. Overhead, all the money that came into to CAR at BU would have been there for the center to use, that there's going to be a lot of overhead and a lot of other things. If a nonprofit administrator would know that probably better than anybody. Yeah, I know, right? There's always a but, though, right? Does a center need 36 people? I mean, was this something that needed to happen in 2020 or something, or 2023? Is this something that you envision happening in 5 or 10 years? If it was more long term, then maybe not that many people should have been hired, right? So that you end up laying off more than half your staff in the end. But more importantly than that is, what are they doing? What are people doing? What goals are they working toward? How much research can you possibly be doing on anti-racism in 2023, right? As not as if those who go out and do training around anti-racism, who do training around, unpacking your baggage, your isms, your phobias, etc., etc., haven't been doing this for, 20, 30, 40, 50, even 60 or more years. There's a lot of stuff around all of this, right? So unless you're, looking into, you know, magic mushrooms and how that alters the mind and makes people susceptible for unpacking their races. I'm not sure how much new research there is on anti-racism. That's just an aside. And that's just, of course, that's my opinion, but it's also my years of working in social justice fields, my years of being a historian of African American history and culture and identity, among other things. So, there's a lot going on here, some of which doesn't meet the eye because it's been hidden maybe in plain sight, maybe in the closet, maybe somewhere in between, and in other words, stuff we don't know about, and stuff that, quite frankly, we do, but a lot of people just simply haven't talked about because of the stature of the person involved, right? And because, they're afraid that their own little reputation, their own little minor fiefdoms might get disrupted by this man. And I understand that, HNIC issues and all of that. I understand that all too well. So, but bottom line is that this is as predictable as watching a car crash in 495 around the inner circle of the Beltway of Washington, D.C., or 695 in Baltimore. You know it's going to happen. You know it's going to happen eventually. All you got to do is put a camera at a certain spot, wait for the sun to come in at a certain angle, and see what happens during rush hour.